Indiana's watching, that record might get broken.
This is hit high. It's hit deep with the bases loaded. It is a grand slam home run. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. 11 home runs and a big one there for the LSU Tigers as Travinski comes through. A big moment for him and a celebration for number 25 with his teammates. Hayden Travinski goes the other way and gets all of it.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. Do not try to adjust your TV sets. The sport coats are off. It is finally hot in South Louisiana. We're only in May, but the summer tour has started, bud. Man, we'll talk some LSU football. Of course, we'll talk some LSU baseball here on today's episode of Tigers Roar. I'll talk some NFL news. It was a crazy offseason for the Saints. A bunch of local flavor are going to play for Black and Gold next season. Talk about that, the upcoming series against Vanderbilt for Coach Jay Johnson and the LSU Tigers. We have a date, time, and station for the LSU kickoff against Florida State in September at the New Orleans Superdome. That game is going to be 6:30 primetime ABC, bud, man. Good to see you, as always.
Good to see you, JP. I'm a little spicy today for a variety of reasons, but as always, we are here at Coursey Boulevard Old School Barbecue. Come get some of that great food on this Wednesday afternoon. JP said, I left my coat at the house, so let's go casual today. And if you're wondering about the sunglasses, no, I'm not trying to be Joe Cool, but when you get swept at home against Ole Miss, then I don't want to look. And it has not been entertaining. LSU led Ole Miss this past weekend all of 10 minutes. Two-run dinger by Dylan Cruz.
Yep.
And then on a third strike pass ball, that's a strike and a pass ball, you end up giving 4 runs, and the rest is history. Oh, by the way, on Friday the 13th, they ended up burning Mikhail Hilliard because they only went 2 2.5 innings.
Yep. And
so that led to the 5-3 game, which was continued on Saturday. 11-1, a beatdown, and then on Sunday, Ole Miss taking care of business to get the sweep. So now LSU, which was comfortably at 14-10, now swimming in the Sharks and making sure that they get something done this weekend at Nashville, as they will go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, SEC tournament next weekend. As you alluded to, it's nice to see that LSU is going to open up in prime time against Florida State on ABC September 4th. That is the Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. And other various topics. NCAA, and we kind of had this, we've been putting this out there, but the NCAA is going to go with a couple more years where they do not limit a school to 25 signees. Of course, Alabama has had their own rules, as we know, the last however many years that Nick wanted them. But this is going to be a real positive for Brian Kelly as they continue to rebuild this program. And we'll talk about, JP, at some point, how Brian Kelly became the juggler and kept all 4 quarterbacks in the camp. And a lot of optimism with the Saints, albeit a very tough schedule on paper.
That's right. Let's talk some recruiting with Mike Scarborough from Tigebait.com later on here on Tigers Roar. Before we go to our first break, remind you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It's a great way to keep up with everything we do here on Tigers Roar, along with the Clarence Buggs Show, Rocket Right, the Coach Roger Kadar Show, Overtime with Athletic Director Roman Banks from Southern University. That and a whole lot more on our YouTube page. While you're there, go ahead and click subscribe so you're notified every time we put something new on YouTube. Once again, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. We'll take our first break of the evening, come back, talk some LSU baseball on the other side. You're watching Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
At the Team Automotive Group, we're offering you the Team Guarantee on new and used vehicles. Included with every new vehicle is a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. And now, get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Get the Team Guarantee at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
And we continue on Tigers Roar. Certainly appreciate you tuning in this week. Remind you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting, and subscribe while you're there. Bud Man talks some LSU baseball, now 14-13, the SEC. Struggled at the plate against Ole Miss. Mike Bianco brought his team in ready to play. Coach Jay Johnson thought that was the best team that they played in the SEC so far. Not the amount of wins and losses, just the brand of baseball they were playing this weekend. I didn't agree with starting the game on Friday with the bad weather. You said burn Hilliard. He gets his first loss of the year. Didn't like that decision. Don't know if LSU can even protest that and get them to start it on Saturday. Do you know how that works, Bud Man? If there's a time delay like that?
Well, the problem, Marty and I were talking about this before the show. This time of year, you get lightning strikes, and whenever you have lightning strikes within 8 miles of the stadium, there is a designated number of minutes that you have to wait, and so you start. And I had a couple people going, "Where do I go? What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I mean, who knows? How can you predict whether this was weird because this front was coming north to south. Usually we have east to west movement, but both teams made the decision to start, and as we know, Mikhail Hilliard, his first loss in 3 years. And the unearned runs, look, this is getting frustrating.
Yep.
LSU leads the SEC in a couple of categories. One's good, one's bad. And maybe not even that good.
Right.
You know, they got hit by 10 pitches last night.
Yep.
So they're up to 107 times they've been hit by a pitch. Now, I asked Todd Walker this week, did you ever try to do that? He said, no, I'd rather get on with a walk or a base hit, but I'm not going to put my body out there.
Right.
This is something that LSU has done, and they've done it pretty successfully. The other thing that they've done, unfortunately, is they have had Swiss cheese given to the LSU infielders because there's nothing but holes in that defense.
Yep.
And so now they continue to field at the worst clip than anybody in the conference. So you throw in the fact that Jacob Berry's been hurt. You throw in the fact that Milazzo's trying to come back and catch, and you're not playing great defense. And JP, let's give Coach Johnson and Jason Kelly and all those guys a little bit of credit. This is the weakest starting rotation that I can remember in a long, long time. Yeah. Mikhail Hilliard would normally be a Sunday guy. He's your Friday night guy.
Right.
Blake Money has been anything but money. And I know he gets spicy, and I know he's like me, gets the red A, almost said that, the red A very quickly. But he's got to show some more composure and throw strikes. And then, of course, as you and I were talking, I don't know if it's gamemanship. I don't know if it's Bush League, but Samuel Dutton was called upon to start a game, pitch one pitch. And because Ole Miss had 5 lefties in the lineup, he gave up a double, and Jay Johnson went and got him and brought in Jacob Hasty, a lefty. Now, the problem that you have, in my opinion, is that what are you doing to his psyche, his confidence, and his mindset? Oh, by the way, he pitched 1 inning last night. Did you see the line score? Gave up 3 runs. So I'm not a fan of trying to deceive somebody by and oh, by the way, if you were going to throw somebody out there, there were a couple of other guys you could have thrown out there. So basically you burn Mikhail Hilliard with weather, and you burn Dutton, who now has lost his confidence, with 1 pitch. So Tiger baseballers right now, I had a very long shrink session this morning, and it was 3 30-minute sessions, an hour and a half, but LSU players and coaches and fans kept coming in wanting to talk to Dr. Phil. Everybody right now is like, what's going on and which direction are they going to head? You cannot afford to go to Nashville and lay an egg, because if you do and you get beat in the first round of the SEC tournament, you're actually on the bubble for even getting into the big dance, which we were talking a couple weeks ago about hosting a regional, JP.
Well, Vanderbilt is 14-13 in the SEC, just like LSU.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they have won 4 of their last 5 games, playing some very good baseball right now. Jay Johnson knows this is a very talented squad that can turn it on at any moment. They're playing good baseball. Going into the postseason, at least the SEC tournament, you would hope you'd have a couple things figured out. Your batting lineup and your pitching rotation. Unfortunately for LSU, I've watched a lot of baseball in my life, played a lot of baseball. I've never seen a pitcher, except for a specialist in the pros, that was facing righty-lefty get pulled out there 1 pitch. And you can't even do that in the pros anymore. There's a minimum of pitches. You have to finish the batter.
I don't know if I ever can recall it. Not at the start of a game.
No, exactly.
Unless there would be an injury, obviously. But you asked the question, is that Bush League? You know, Les Miles used to pull this thing where he had all of the punters and kickers wear the same number until the NCAA outlawed that. So, look, Jay Johnson has come in here, and you have to give the man credit. He took Arizona to the Omaha 2 out of 5 years. But you also have to admit that he's getting acclimated, and this has been a rude awakening for him with the style of ball that he came from on the West Coast, and the pitching and the competition. And it's just like football, JP. You're seeing high draft choices, at least 2 or 3 pitchers, everybody's rotation. They've got guys that are going to pitch at the next level. And so as you alluded to, it's been tough to get on the same page at the same time. That being said, if they would win that game tomorrow night, it is on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. If they win that game tomorrow night, it'd give them a jolt of confidence and put them back in a much better position. But this is not what normal fans with LSU. They normally see LSU peaking at the right time, playing their best ball at the right time, and doing well in the SEC tournament. But that being said, we do have to give the man a little bit of time to get his players in here. And I'm amazed at the pitchers from last year, how little they have contributed to LSU's pitching this year. Other than Hilliard, I mean, Trent Vittmeyer hadn't been doing much. Devin Fontenot's not the same. Garrett Edwards is an enigma. I mean, you can go on and on and on. So, look, not making excuses, but as we know, Matt McMahon and Brian Kelly are undefeated right now. They might ought to talk to Jay Johnson and ask him what people were saying about him 4 months ago versus now. And as we know, this McMahon and Kelly are going to be their most popular right now because they haven't lost a game yet, JP.
Well, LSU played Northwestern last night. Their last home game of the 2022 season. We'll go ahead and ask the truck to roll those highlights. The long ball was flying out the park last night, Bud, man. Hayden Javisky had the grand slam we saw in the opener. But that was a great play right there by Cranford at third base. Spectacular. See it here on the replay. Lays out, gets dirty, makes a good throw. I like the way he's playing third base right now, Bud, man, with Jacob Berry being out. Obviously, you missed the bat in the lineup, but you make plays like that, you can find yourself a spot on the field.
Yeah, but I don't want to beat him up. He's hitting 136, and he did have 2 errors last night. So, once again, I don't know what it is, but the infield has had the majority of the errors for LSU this year.
Well, look, there's an old adage in baseball, you start in the middle and you work out. Shortstop has been a huge problem for LSU this season.
Shortstop, second base, and catcher.
That's right, and that's all.
Center field, you got Dylan Cruz, who's been fantastic. Right. But up the middle, football, baseball, and obviously that has not been strong points for him.
Right, here you go, Trey Morgan, back-to-back at-bats, back-to-back RBIs. That was a good start for LSU. Trey Morgan, one of the best players in the country when he has it turned on. He's got to keep that aggressive approach at the plate. I like when he sees pitches when he's in that leadoff spot, but when he sees a strike, you got to turn on and drive it to the outfield.
Well, he's been hurt, and look, I don't know. When you talk about Kate Beloso not playing, you talk about Javen Coleman out, talk about all the guys that have been injured, Milazzo and everybody else. Trey Morgan's been playing hurt for about the last month, JP.
Paul Gervais, big strikeout right here. He got the win last night. He's been my favorite reliever out of the bullpen this season for LSU.
And, I was thinking about this and talked about it today. Obviously, this guy's the tallest pitcher ever at LSU. He's legitimate, 6'10", and really good stuff. Now, Eric Razelman, the guy who comes in, throws 95, 96, 98, he got beat up a couple times. He gave up two-run dingers to Ole Miss. So, but Gervais, I think, without a doubt, has been their star in the bullpen for the most of the year.
Right there, you see a home run, number 13 for the JUCO transfer from Delgado, Brayton Joubert. He also adds another one later on in this game, but that was a line drive, Bubman, that got out in a hurry. Such a pretty swing from the left.
Since I'm in a griping mood here, I don't like the LSU. I don't like the LSU jerseys with the state flag on it. I like the names on the back of the jersey. This is not Penn State. I don't know why they even came up with this, but I don't like it. And I want to see the guys, especially with so many new names. Can you imagine football guys not having their names on the back of their jersey? Of course, as we know, you got to do that in football because you got 2 players wearing the same number a lot of times. But Joubert did get off the snide, and it's been a while since he's hit a home run. He had 2 last night.
They see Hayden Javisky, all 4 of his RBIs come on one swing, a grand slam to right center. He hits tanks, Bud, man.
Yeah, Travinsky and, of course, McManus have hit the long ball, but they've left a lot to be desired on behind the plate and defense. And, oh, by the way, guess who wants to run this weekend? Vandy's got a guy, I want to say 31 or 32, stealing bases. And so I don't know if they'll have availability for Milazzo or not. They want to get him back, but as we said, Barry is probably going to pinch hit from the right-handed side, but he's had problems with the middle finger. So this injury bug that's been over the and I look, it's the Saints as well as LSU. Last 2 years, you look at all the teams at LSU, they've had a ton of injuries, and as well as the Saints last year.
They see Brayden Joubert's second home run of the game, number 14 for the year. That ball was crushed, Bud, man. Went over, I'd say, the top, 16 feet of that pole. That ball was absolutely smoked. It's such a pretty swing. Look, we talked about it a lot this whole season for LSU. Expectations do one of two things. It gives a lot of excitement with the fans, a lot of build-up, but when you're preseason number 4, Bud, man, you don't have a legit Friday night guy, you're going to have some disappointment all season, not to mention struggles at shortstop. LSU is used to having very good athletes position. And look, Thompson can hit. He's in the lineup for his batting prowess. Hits 5th a lot of time for the lineup. Not a big guy, but he can swing the bat, hit a lot of line drives. Tried the K. Doty experiment at short. That was, to me, about the same. About the same defensively. They make the same amount of plays to me. If you can shore up the errors, LSU can beat anybody. They can score, 6 runs an inning, a very powerful lineup that can explode at anybody. I think it's completely between the ears at this point. One error goes down, and everybody on the field is thinking, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. We're back. This is us. We're back. And teams on the other side of the dugout, they see that, and they're like, oh, look, guys, we're not out of this game. LSU's about to boot a ball right here. We're right back in it. We get 2 men on, hit a 3-run blast. And that's how it's been happening for a lot of games this season.
Well, we talked about the pass ball on the 3rd strike that cost him 4 runs. Excuse me. K. Doty had a tailor-made double play. Blake Money's coming in relief. Ought to be 4-6-3. And Doty has lost his confidence, as you said, between the ears. Ball goes through the glove, scores a run, and now 1st and 3rd, a sac fly. You give up 2 runs. And you just the other thing that's been a pet peeve for a lot of the fans is that the games are appreciably slower. And we know Jim Hawthorne, the former broadcaster, used to hate those games that would go any more than 3.5, 4 hours. But, Coach Johnson is a stickler for the details. He's very much a communicator. He's involved. He's invested. But, man, oh, man. And I like it when they're killing time to get a guy warmed up in the pen and all that. But, JP, these games are hard to watch when you're getting your butts beat. It's 90-plus degrees, and you're tinkling away games with defense. The pitchers are getting mad because the defense isn't backing them up. And, of course, I got to throw in one other thing, too, since I'm on a bitch fest today. The umpiring in the SEC, I always have said this, with the caliber of talent in football, basketball, and baseball, and the umpiring with those 3 big sports, not even close to the level of talent. JP, I'm sitting here watching the game Sunday, and Dylan Cruz gets called out on a ball that is 6 inches outside and 3 inches low. And they've got a couple more like that. And so I know you don't want to take the human element out of it. And I know that they've missed some calls for the other teams as well. But lo and behold, and guess what else happens this weekend? The Whistler. The Whistler is going to irritate the living heck out of Tiger fans, especially if Vanderbilt. But, man, oh, man, look, you got a kid playing ball, and they always talk about it, and they always show on these internet, mom and daddy get up in umpire's face. Look, I am not condoning any of that, okay? Treat the umpire with kid gloves, but, man, oh, man, I called Carl the Cat out for having Coke bottle glasses sponsored by Coca-Cola. Some of these umpires behind the plate with the SEC, not impressed. Remember, we were griping about LSU basketball and all the fouls that were called on them. So if you ask me about umpiring, officiating, and refereeing in the SEC, thumbs down for Greg Sankey in the SEC this year.
Bud, man, I think that's a trend that's only going to get worse and worse. I think the SEC is trying to get the best of the best umpires. The problem is nobody wants that job. Nobody wants to, cut their teeth at the playground. Just like you said, parents want to fight these umpires. They're getting paid $15 a game, $45 a game for travel ball, and they're going to defend themselves against the coach and the players. Young guys don't want that as a summer job anymore. Like, that's not even an interest. I knew as a young kid, Ryan Morehouse is a gentleman's name. He was an SEC official for a while, not to shout him out here on the show, but he was my all-star coach for when I was like 11 or 12. And not a real friendly guy. I mean, knew the game, but not a real sociable, friendly guy. And I think that's the kind of personality that it takes to do the job. You know, you have to be focused on your gig, not to worry about 30,000 people screaming at you. But nobody wants that job anymore. But I mean, you're not grooming good umpires at a young age anymore. You're turning them away. They see how they're treated.
Get taken.
That's right.
The good ones get taken to the NBA and the other areas. And but what do fans, players, and coaches want from an umpire?
Consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Consistency. And look, I'm not saying that's the reason LSU is in a little bit of a slump right now.
Yeah.
But I've noticed it all year long. And there has been some conjecture that they're studying some of these things and trying to improve to get better consistency behind the plate. JP, all of that being said, Tony Vitello and Tennessee have had a year like we have not seen in many, many years, if ever. Obviously, Arkansas, even though their RPI is not that great, they're going to be hosting the regional and the super regional. And then you've got other teams like Georgia and A&M and Auburn. And so you're going to have great parity.
Yep.
But when it pours, it rains. And right now, this has been a little bit of a tough time. Man, you got to get Jacob Berry back. Once again, another bad break.
Yep.
As this happened in batting before one of the games against Alabama. And he's been out 2 weeks. And let's be honest, this team's not been the same since.
No, it's hard to replace the best hitter in the country, in my opinion. A guy that can switch hit and has power, can hit for average and power. Look, LSU is their own worst enemy at this point, but I mean, that's okay. I mean, they can fix those things. Is it too late in the year to try to shore up every error that's going to be made? Nah, there's going to be a little bit that continues on into the postseason. I mean, you can't fix yourself overnight. They played a big enough sample size, so we kind of understand who this team is. But look, Pulmonary had a few teams that got hot right at the right time, and they made it all the way to Omaha. This team has a lot of talent. You get Barry back, Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan,
K. Doty.
Who, Davin Dugas. What team in the league has more power than this lineup?
Yeah.
Look, they have the puncher's chance, the Mike Tyson's chance where they're in any fight. They get that one huge hitting, and they could do whatever they want. So it's going to be interesting to see. We'll take another quick break here on Tigers Roar, Bud, man. We'll come back. We'll talk a whole lot more. We got some LSU football. We'll get to Mike Scarborough just a little bit. We'll talk some NBA and some NFL. Remind you guys, we're at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. It's a great place to come catch a game, have a great meal, catch a drink. Great people, great atmosphere. Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come back and join us here on Tigers Roar right after this break.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
The Mazda CX-50. Confident on and off-road performance and intelligently designed utility inside and out.
The all-new Mazda CX-50 has arrived and is on sale right now at Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
We welcome you back into Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche, joined as always by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy, still wearing his glasses because we can't get him in a good mood no matter what we try in the breaks. Not even a smile from the Bud Man. We'll talk some football. That'll cheer him up. LSU, Florida State. We have the graphic for you. The time has been selected, 6:30 ABC. Prime time, Bud Man. You told me two years ago LSU's playing Florida State. I think Florida State is sweating. They don't want to face LSU. No, 2019, that team was the tops, the best ever, right? Florida State's shaking in their boots. 2 years later, they're into this game. This is going to be a great game, Bud, man. You come September in a Caesars Superdome, LSU's going to be in for a great game against Florida State Seminoles, a team that, just like LSU, has struggled the last couple seasons, trying to get their head coaching situation straight. Team that is always talented, being in the state of Florida, can recruit from the speed state, is what they call it. I'm looking forward to it, Bud Man.
Yeah, I'm not giving Florida State a lot of props. LSU was 6-7 last year. Florida State was 5-7, and they have not done the job recruiting as much as we thought they would. Look, you got Miami, you got the Gators, and you got the Seminoles, and the state is so rich with major prospects. Generally speaking, those three schools can pretty much still recruit the state of Florida and get the allotment. That all being said, give me LSU minus 4.5 or 5. I really think when you look at the particulars, now let's kind of set the stage. Brian Kelly is juggling 4 egos, 4 skill sets, and 4 quarterbacks. And he's done a great job. Most people said there's no way he's going to keep all of them. We've seen it. That doesn't mean that somebody won't leave after summer or at some point in fall camp. But that being said, you know that Jacob Flint's come in and done a great job with the strength and conditioning program. They've done things a lot differently, attention to detail. And I think that not only do you have an assistant coach on your butt and a head coach on your butt, but now you got other players holding each other accountable. The SWAT team, they make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and that means going to class, and that means doing your work in the weight room, and as well as all of the running. Gosh, can you imagine? I'll never forget, years ago I had a receiver on, and he said, "Mr. Buddy, I ran every day from 1 to 3. Said, why is that? Shedrick Wilson, you probably remember, he was a wide receiver. Said, but I knew if I trained in the heat of the day, I was going to be ready to go with the craziness in that fall camp, which is August. Can you believe it, JP? As fast as it goes, we're going to be looking at June in 10-plus days. And LSU will report to camp in early August. But I like the start of the schedule. Oh, by the way, you mentioned Southern and Roman Banks. I still think on the night of September 10th, that hopefully that will be a game in the 6:30, 7 o'clock range, and LSU and Southern and this whole town will come together and make it a win-win for everybody with tailgating, with the bands, with the pageantry, with the game. Look, I like LSU to start the season strong, and I think, I kind of like Florida State wanting to get a little piece of LSU, because I do think that they will be appreciably better. The one thing, JP, we've got to tell the fans is that you're going to have to give Brian Kelly and his staff a little time to get the numbers up to snuff. Now, this new ruling with the NCAA that they announced, that they're not going to minimize the 25. You can go over 25. It was 25-7 plus 7 last year. You do that a couple more years ago. A couple more years moving forward, you'll be able to rebuild.
Right.
But LSU's got talent. They just have to get the depth. And, we all beaten this thing to a pulp, and we'll continue to do it in the summer. But who is going to be your starting quarterback? Yeah. Are they going to figure out how they can play two? And what happens if you make the decision for this guy's going to start and you plan your whole offense around him, and all of a sudden he gets hurt or whatever? So a lot of plan Bs and Cs moving forward. I don't see any way they're not going to have a package with Jaden Daniels. He just runs too quick. Even if he's the Wildcat quarterback, even if he's the guy inside the red zone, even if he's the guy like Mickey Guidry with Tommy Hudson years ago, I just think they're going to play more than one quarterback this year because you got to use your feet in the college game. And Jaden Daniels is a burner at quarterback.
An accomplished runner. I mean, the Taysom Hill role, right? I mean, the guy who
he's smaller than Taysom, but
no, he's smaller than Taysom, but he can run. He's an accomplished runner. It's not trying to tackle a normal SEC quarterback. Like, this guy can move. He's got great agility. He has sideline to sideline. I mean, it's not like you just Josh Hill try to run you over because he's a bigger guy. This dude is athletic.
The first phone number I would give to Jaden Daniels is Joe Burrow, and say, call Joe and ask him how long it took for him before he learned to slide. Listen, no disrespect to the West Coast defenses in the Pac-12, but Joe Burrow took, I think, Ensminger and Ogeron after about week 4 or 5, finally convinced him, if you want to live to play another game, you better get down and you got to slide. So, look, you know the deal. Pretty much a remake at offensive line, very talented wide receivers, got plenty of running backs. You got 4 quarterbacks, how that's going to go out. And on the defensive end, they're impressive with that front 7. But basically a whole new DB and, of course, all new specialists. So it still is a work in progress, but you know how fans are. Right now, here it is, latter part of May, guys going to say, I'd be happy with 7 or 8 wins. Right. Then you get to July, and the guy's going to be at the beach, and he's going to see the Tennessee guy coming. And, man, are those fans arrogant, huh? They are blowing smoke with their baseball, and they think they're going to come in here and kick LSU in football. I'm not ready to say that LSU's football program is not as good as Tennessee, even in a transition. But back to Florida State, I would be shocked with that home crowd advantage if LSU doesn't win that game by double digits.
Yeah, I agree. And I won't be in town for the game. Unfortunately, I'll be on a bachelor party on a trip.
That's the...
Yeah, we're going to Nashville, Tennessee, so won't be here. I will miss it. It would have been a game that I would love to go to. I mean, I have a lot of friends that have been Florida State fans for a long time, just for whatever reason as Florida State fans in Louisiana. But, yeah, I'm with you. I take LSU favored, even with a complete new coaching staff, minus Brad Davis, new offensive line, being at home, well, not at home, but in New Orleans, a team that has a lot to prove, right? New head coach, new offensive system, guys like Miles Brennan have come back through the storm, and they want to prove that they have something left to put on the field. I don't think Florida State's ready. I think they think they're ready. I think Florida State is confident they're going to be able to compete in this game, but I think that the talent level is just going to be evident going into that second half, that Sunday night in September.
I constantly give the analogies about having sand kicked up on your purple and gold beach towel because as Louisianans, we do spend, I don't even think it's millions anymore. I think it might even be trillions now. I mean, do you know anybody that doesn't try to get in at least one beach trip into Florida? And, oh, by the way, it's about triple the price they used to be a few years ago. That being said, the SEC fan base is, as you know, unique to this part of the country. It means more. It's like a religion. You hear all of the analogies. JP, the funny thing that the LSU fan base is going to hear when they go to the beach and when they start to see the magazines come out, I'll just ask you right now, do you think LSU is going to be a preseason? And AP, let's just use the AP. Usually they come out with their first poll. I want to say, I don't know what, first week in August or whenever it is. Do you think they'll be preseason in the top 25?
I do not. I do not believe they'll be top 25. A lot of other SEC teams that we have to overrate before we get to LSU is coming out of a new situation, especially in the East, in the SEC East. I mean,
Georgia's going to be
top 1 and 2. Obviously, Georgia, Alabama. Then you got the Ohio States of the world. They need to come back with I'm sure Cincinnati's going to be ranked, top 6, top 7. Oklahoma, right? Because then you got USC with Lincoln Riley's new destination. They got a new toy to play with out there. So there's a lot of teams to overrate before we get to the LSU, and I'm completely fine with that.
I was going to say, but the LSU fan needs to handle that, because you're going to have some alcohol talking, and you're going to say, well, let me tell you what we did in 19. Well, guess what, folks? That's 3 years removed.
Yep.
Got a new coach, got a whole new deal. It's going to be fun to see, though, when LSU is picked, like in the West. Let's be honest. They're going to get picked behind A&M.
Yep.
Alabama's a given. Alabama's going to be your preseason number 1. They are loaded for bear. And don't tell me you want parity, Coach Nick Saban, when you're buying every piece of meat that you can.
All right, corner
you
of the
get
market.
one from Nashville and you get one from that. And I'm not calling those players a piece of meat, but it's almost like he sees something and says, I want that one. So he goes and grabs the Vanderbilt offensive tackle and the wide receiver from Georgia, and here and there, the running back from Georgia Tech. And so he wants parity, but let's be honest. The teams that have the most money have been getting the most players because of NIL.
Yep.
That all being said, in the West, just talking out loud here, Alabama will be picked to win. A&M and Ole Miss are going to be picked 2 and 3. Arkansas is going to get picked ahead of LSU.
I agree.
And so I'm thinking right now, LSU's probably a preseason 5 in the SEC West, and that is going to really turn the back of the hair, the hair on the back of your neck. That is going to really infuriate the Tiger fan base. But as you alluded to, this is a perfect year for Brian Kelly to come in and play that underdog role and have that speech about everybody thinks you're going to be as bad as you were the last 2 years. Not certainly nobody. Not Coach Kelly, no players, nobody, except the big fella upstairs, has any idea how this thing is going to play out. I think if they stay healthy and they continue to, I guess you could say, get the guys to buy in, then I think LSU's got a chance to be better than most people think. But this is going to be a reaction of what's happened the last 2 years. And a lot of Tiger fan bases are not going to like it. Originally, I said LSU might be 18 to 22. I'm with you. If they are preseason 25, it's going to be 22, 23, 24. Notre Dame, I saw a mock poll the other day. Notre Dame at 9. Now, here's Marcus Freeman. He's coached one game as a head coach in the bowl game. He looked like he was lost, looked like he had the Brooke Trout look. But they are going to be overrated, as historically they are.
No doubt.
Ole Miss, you'd think Lane Kiffin had won everything. Look up the record on Lane Kiffin and see how many big-time top 10 wins they've had at Ole Miss. But they talk a good game. Pittman's done a quiet job. He's rebuilding. And Jimbo Fisher still is running that 1980s offense, but he just bought the best class that NIL money can buy. Are you going to keep those guys happy? How many of those guys are going to be impact players? And if Jimbo doesn't get the clipboard taken away from him, I'm not confident that A&M's ever going to ascend to the top and compete against Alabama. Now, look, I said that, and A&M beat Alabama with a backup quarterback last year. So it's all relative on a given Saturday. But I kind of like LSU being a little bit of an underdog going into this. But, JP, where are you going to see it latter part of the season when the injuries and the depth comes to play? You usually want to have about 60 to 65 that you can lean on. Your other 20 are guys that you got to develop a redshirt or whatever. I think LSU, if they can stay healthy and not have too many exits with the transfer portal, still 2 guys to come in, and we haven't heard of any guys moving out right now. So, look, I think everybody's bought in, but you do have to folks, take your patience pills and give this man a little time to change the line of scrimmage, because he likes to play a different game than what LSU can put on the field. They don't have those big 6'6", 265-pound tight ends across the board and those big linemen. Give them a couple years to get those kind of physicality players in.
We'll talk some more LSU football after this break. The New Orleans Saints, there's a new era, Bud, man. There's a new era in town. We'll talk about that after this break. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, gang. Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
At the Team Automotive Group, we're offering you the Team Guarantee on new and used vehicles. Included with every new vehicle is a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. And now, get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Get the Team Guarantee at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Welcome into Tigers Roar. Time to talk some NFL. New Orleans Saints new head coach Dennis Allen starting off with a bang. Him and Mickey Loomis finally giving the fans what they want, signing LSU players. Picked up Tyrann Mathieu, then added on Jarvis Landry, Bud, man. Can you even believe what's going on in the Crescent City right now?
Sean Payton has changed his first name to Richard because that's the way he's acted towards LSU players. Isn't it interesting, JP, this little correlation? Where do you have all these LSU players now at the pro level? The Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Yep.
The state of Ohio. Sean Payton loved him some Ohio State players. And, oh, by the way, the LSU fans are never going to gripe about Joe Burrow coming over from Ohio State. But that being said, Marty, bottom line over here, Marty, the Tigers are finally getting some of their former players to sign with the Saints. And this is why I was so adamant about it. Burrow, Chase, and the Bengals, of course, we know that Moss and the big nose guard, and all those guys that are on the Bengals with LSU ties. They're coming to the Superdome in mid-October.
Can you believe they were thinking about putting that game in London? That would have been robbery.
Yeah.
They would have robbed the people of Louisiana.
But my point is that can you imagine how many Honey Badger jerseys, how many Burrow jerseys, how many Jamar Chase jerseys? Yeah. And this is what blew my mind about the Saints not liking or wanting to pick LSU players. You're expanding your base.
Yep.
It helps get people from Baton Rouge. I had about 50 people through the years that had season tickets for the Saints. They'd go to LSU on Saturday night. They'd wake up and go to the Saints on Sunday. Obviously, the apex was the Super Bowl, and I know you still appreciate Coach Payton, and we all do. But as you and I have had these spirited discussions, you get long in the tooth, and quite frankly, I think when Ed Orgeron tried to come over and steal the defensive coordinator, Ryan Nielsen, from the Saints to LSU, I think that really ticked him off. And he went out of his way not to pick players. Jacques was just talking about Patrick Queen and all these other guys. But the Honey Badger probably got 3 years left at 30. And Jarvis Landry, once again, maybe 3 years left. That being said, man, that's going to be good for the dome. It's going to be good for the atmosphere. It's going to be good for what happened when they were trying to order the jerseys? What did it do?
So there was a pre-order on Tyrann Mathieu jersey because they didn't know what number he was going to select yet. So you can go onto the internet, click the link, you pre-order the jersey, buy it for $135. They only offered it in black. All right, no white jersey, no color rush. Didn't know the number.
Yeah.
Within 2 hours, they had shut down the link because it was like overflowing with pre-orders. And you mentioned Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You mentioned 2 of the 3 guys from LSU that are in the top 50 jersey sales in the NFL. You got Justin Jefferson in there too. I mean, LSU players right now are hot in the league. I mean, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You go through it. To me, Tyrann Mathieu, his best football is most likely behind him.
No doubt.
And that is completely okay.
I agree.
You lose Drew Brees, you lose Teron Armstead. Those 2 of the main voices in the locker room. Okay, you lose them in back-to-back years. You lose Malcolm Jenkins. You lose Marcus Williams. You still have DeMario Davis, but that's a lot of leaders that are no longer around. You bring in guys that are from the state that wanted to be here, both took team-friendly deals in positions of need for the Saints. It's a win-win in all situations. You bring Mathieu in for his leadership. What he's going to do in the community, I cannot wait to see. It's going to be national news. Every time he does anything in New Orleans, there's going to be cameras that want to see it. It's a feel-good story that people love to enjoy. Great comeback story. Jarvis Landry, I don't know if you saw the Hard Knocks when the Cleveland Browns were the subject of the series, but his little speech that went viral in the wide receiver room, that is Jarvis Landry. That is the attitude he brings to work. There's not going to be any of this, man. Michael Thomas needs Jarvis Landry to be his teammate. If anything else happens in this season, if Michael Thomas can learn that attitude from Jarvis Landry, the sky is the limit for that young man's career.
You know, we saw the Honey Badger out at spring football and talked to him a couple times, and it still is amazing when you are talking eye to eye to him that a guy that small has been such a dominant force at LSU. Look, we talked about pound for pound, one of the greatest LSU Tigers ever.
You know what?
He got $11 million for 3 years, JP.
Go ahead and roll those Tyrann Mathieu highlights. There's never a bad day to see some Tyrann Mathieu highlights. We'll actually try to go ahead and play those.
Let's get me in a better mood talking about the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger. That's right.
He's swearing 7 here.
That's right, Bob, man. I mean, one of the best to ever do an LSU uniform, in my opinion. Should have won a Heisman. I think if he scores that ball that he strips against Kentucky, I think he wins it. But dynamic football player, means so much to the state. He never turned his back on LSU, even though it was a rocky road there for a little while. Never had anything bad to say about the Honey Badger. A classy young man. He's really grown up and developed into a fine leader in the NFL.
You know, and this is the kind of crazy thing here. Of course, I always joke with him. I said he was the best stripper that we've ever seen. He just had that hand-eye coordination. And if you remember, all of the big plays, he just scoops it up. It's so natural. But how about that punt return when he actually it's a good thing they didn't instant replay it because that was in the SEC championship against Georgia. He actually gave up the football. This is it right here, I think, right here. That actually was done.
I was in the building.
It happened so fast. But, man, LSU's got to get back to having some semblance of a punt returner.
Yep.
Biggest disappointment for me with Derek Stingley
I agree.
at LSU is two things. Didn't turn out to be the punt returner that I thought he would be. And do you realize Sting, who went third in the draft a month or so ago, never scored a touchdown at LSU?
Really?
No, they never did. Okay? No, didn't score.
Wow.
So bottom line is LSU's got to get back to having some semblance of a guy that can take it to the house with punt returns, with kickoff returns. Oh, by the way, back to the Tigers and the Saints again. How cool is this to see Cade York, the place kicker for LSU, greatest kicker ever.
Yep.
JP made 15 of 19 from 50 or beyond.
Yep.
Made the 57-yarder in the fog to beat Florida in the shoe game.
After the shoe.
And lo and behold, they're replacing every specialist. So Brian Poley and, of course, Bill Poley's son is the special teams coach and recruiting coordinator. That's why you're going to need to have a roster. But, man, the Honey Badger, he might have not been the fastest punt returner, but that's like a video game watching him as a punt returner in some of those highlights.
Yeah, so we lose both safeties on the New Orleans Saints starting lineup last year, and Malcolm Jenkins to retirement, and then Marcus Williams goes to the Ravens. You replace him with Marcus May, who was a very talented safety for the Jets, who didn't play last year because of injury, and Tyrann Mathieu, two positions of need that you fill with all-pro guys, potentially Pro Bowl caliber guys. And then wide receiver, another huge position of need. Last year they had Marcus Callaway, Traquan Smith, Deontay Hardy. His name's Hardy now. If you didn't know, he changed his name from Harris last year midway through. And the other guys, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the four receivers. So now we got Michael Thomas healthy, right, who says he's ready to dominate again. And then you pick up Olave in a draft, who everybody's really high on, the most polished route runner in the draft. You got Landry, fourth guy, possibly Odell Beckham. I know you don't like it. No, I know.
Unfortunately, I think that if you go to the airport and you're flying, Odell Beckham has about 8 bags. Too much baggage, just coming off an injury. And I don't know if that would be a good
completely
fit.
facetious.
But look, there have been some guys, and Callaway was a guy that stepped up. Traquan, it's Traquan's,
do or die.
Yeah.
Do or die.
There's some guys, though, that have filled the roles. And, I like the little guy, Deontay. He's a guy that's been really good. Now, see, that's the perfect example of what I want to see LSU get, a returner who puts the fear of God in that opposition each and every time. But you and I were talking during the break. Dennis Allen, his claim to fame last year was coaching the Saints at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
I guess this
Sean
was
Payton
the
was
second
out.
time Coach Payton had COVID, and shut out Tampa Bay. Wasn't that 9-0 or something like that?
Yep, 3 field goals.
I mean, crazy to think that. Oh, by the way, what do you make of this Drew Brees Twitter talk that he's kind of messing around saying, I might play football, I might do this, I might do that. I'm not crazy about the redhead that they signed as a backup because he's never been much to me. But it's interesting to see Drew Brees mess with people a little bit.
Yeah.
Dennis Allen, I think, is going to be phenomenal on the defensive end.
Yep.
Going to be interesting to see what the Saints can do. And we also have hanging over the heads of the Saints a possible suspension for Alvin Kamara and his involvement with a bad situation in Las Vegas.
Well, getting back to Drew Brees just a minute, when we signed Jarvis Landry, you go on Twitter and there's a lot of fans.
Yeah, he tweeted that.
I saw a couple of fans that tweeted at Drew Brees, well, this is what the Saints can do when they're not playing a washed-up quarterback, $30 million a year. And I would never call Drew Brees washed up. That man is – but there's a little shred of validity to that. Now, if you have some money to play around, Jameis Winston on a very team-friendly contract.
I don't think they can make it work.
No, but I'm saying – we were able to sign a Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, because we had this little extra cap room. Nobody in the league is better at GM Mickey Loomis making those numbers work. I mean, it's like they're like pretend numbers he just throws out there, and somehow it all works out in the end. Like the tackle they picked up in the draft, Penning. I mean, that guy. They said that at the Senior Bowl he was been the most fights, picked the most fights of anyone they've ever seen. You want your left tackle to be a little nasty. Guy's got good speed. He's athletic. A mountain, like not a skinny guy, like he's just straight solid, can put on more weight, more muscle. You bookend him with Ramczyk, who's top 6 or 7 tackles in the league already. My concern is leaning on Kamara too much. Such a dynamic player. Sean Payton, I think, used him way too much last season. Fed him the ball, 30, 40 times touching the ball in a game. Was very fortunate to avoid injury for the most part. Alvin Kamara goes down. We still have Mark Ingram as the backup.
And Jones, the kid from
Thomas Jones Jr., right.
Undrafted free agent. I thought he was a pretty good football player for him.
Yeah, So anyway, get back to it. Keep Kamara healthy. You mentioned possible suspension. I do think there'll be some disciplinary action. I don't think it'll be this season. It'll probably tacked on to next year. They let him play right after this happened in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
A super strange situation. I did hear that the video was pretty graphic. Don't know what was said to Kamara, what happened before, but hope it all works out. He's such a main piece of that offense. If Jameis Winston can stay healthy, but man, he's going to throw for at least 4,000 yards for the Saints this year. There's just a lot of miles to feed on that offense this season. Look for Juwan Johnson, the tight end, to have a huge year.
I liked him last year. He that's big 87, right?
Yep, 83.
83. Sorry, 83. Yeah, he was, and that's the spot that LSU needs help with tight end. But look, folks, we all know when the Jags win, when the Tigers win, when the Saints win, everybody in the state of Louisiana is happy. Everybody's making some money. Everybody's enjoying the libations and the food and all the other things. So let's hope that they can all stay healthy and have a big year. We need it. And, of course, you know what else is coming, folks. Get ready to tune to the Weather Channel because we are hoping that we will all be a little more fortunate. I know you had some crazy things happening, but hurricane season around the corner.
Yep.
And we'll always lean on our folks over at Demco with David Latona to keep you up to snuff. But we need a little bit of a break here, man. We need we need to get some good karma back here with football, and I am cautiously optimistic with the Jags and a coaching change. Yeah. It's funny. It just hit me. All three of those teams I just mentioned with new coaches, JP.
Yep. We're going to talk some more LSU football with Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com right after this break. We get a great chance to spend time with Mike. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
And we welcome you back on a Wednesday evening. It is May 18th, 2022. As always, JP, one of the funny things when we had Coach Brian Kelly after one of the practices this spring, he says, God, feels like San Diego in here.
Right.
Well, Mike Scarborough, I saw Coach Kelly doing an interview a couple days ago, and he's got the skin color all red, and you can tell he's been in the sun. And so the dog days of summer, but as always, you are a busy man. So happy Wednesday, and let's get everybody up to snuff with what's going on, as well as the latest verbal commitments that LSU's gotten here in the last 3 or 4 days.
You got several in football, you got Big E in basketball, and so, it's been a nice mid-May so far, but, it all started with Trey Holly on Sunday afternoon, arguably the top running back in the state of Louisiana. Yeah. Of course, Caleb Jackson right here in Baton Rouge has something to say about it, but I think in the end, LSU ends up with both of them.
Mike, I saw you tweeted out the backplate of Caleb, and that was incredible. Slow AF. That was the best backplate. I sent a picture to my son. He had to see it. That's hilarious. I mean, a kid with that much confidence, you like it in the running back spot.
Yeah, I went out to Liberty Saturday morning. They were supposed to scrimmage Friday, of course that bad weather came through, and I went over there. John Tuesday was out there with Channel 9, and I said, look at that backplate. It was a race between me and Josh to see who could get our tweet out faster.
Yeah.
And I beat him, but then he got the Patrick Queen retweet in reply where Patrick Queen said, now it's up to one of those defensive backs to tackle him and rip it off.
Yeah. Always a good follow.
And
Mike
by
on
the
Twitter.
way, if you look at more of the film, Caleb Jackson is a big man and a fast man.
Yeah.
And Mike, other than stumbling out of the blocks at the 100, this guy can pick him up and lay him down. He is a legitimate burner, 6'1", 215. And you feel like LSU's in a good position for him right now. Trey Holly, of course, is a guy that is similar stature of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but does he have the heart? And he does run a little bit quicker. But Mike, we all know you can't ever have enough running backs in this SEC, can you?
Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, he doesn't catch a whole lot of balls. Well, I had a package in my up in our admin that I never rolled, where my girl Jo had filmed Trey in the Superdome when they lost to Sterlington for the state title. And there was a lot of balls in warm-ups where they were throwing deep balls to him, so you got to see him catching footballs. So that highlight package is still on the front page of Tiger Bait. But, yeah, I think both those two backs complement each other. One of them is your change of pace guy, and the other one is your power back. But, man, even though Trey Holly is, 185, 190, whatever you want to list him at, I tell you what, he's got a lot of power in him too. So just because he's short doesn't mean that in a goal line situation he couldn't power in for a touchdown.
Hey, they just released it a few hours ago, and it does look like what we've been talking about, Mike. They're not going to limit schools to 25 in a year. They're going to have 2 more years where they can sign extra players. Of course, it was 25 and 7 last year, and I don't know if all of the ink is dried yet on what they are implementing for the next couple of years, but certainly this is good news for Brian Kelly and Brian Poland moving forward, Mike.
Absolutely. The roster was in shambles. They did what they did with the portal. But like Coach Kelly says, he wants to build his program off of high school seniors. And I'm sure, look, there's going to be a number that they need of transfer portal kids. But when you get a 25-plus number the next few years, that gives you the ability to go a little bit better with the high school kids. And we're going to see here in the next month or so if there's some Louisiana prospects that maybe are tweeners or guys that need a little time to develop that might get an opportunity with some remaining spots when the recruiting class is winding down. Like last year it was Jordan Allen. You know, who might the Jordan Allen be in this year's class?
Mike, I know you can't see it, but I have a De La Salle hat on the stage right now because today is their spring game. I understand you were at Destrehan Carr's spring game last night. There was a ton of college coaches there to see all the talent. Tell us about it. What'd you see? Who impressed you?
Well, you bring up De La Salle. Caden Jones, the offensive lineman, is one of those types of kids I'm talking about.
Yep.
A guy that, everybody's talking about Tyree Adams at St. Aug, who's got an offer. And I start talking to coaches and asking them, is there a possibility that Caden Jones at De La Salle in 2 or 3 years might actually be the better prospect when he has the time to get bigger and stronger and more mature physically because he's so athletic.
Yep.
And he doesn't carry any bad weight. So, but yeah, I was at Carr at Destrehan, and that's absolutely big boy football. Got to see Kalaj Cobbins. He goes by the nickname Toot. And I laughed because right before I went to air with you guys, Alabama came in with the offer. And Pete Golden was next to me holding up a camcorder filming him. And then the next day they offer him. So he got an A&M offer yesterday. Of course, Frank Wilson was out there, Texas coaches. Mickey Joseph with Nebraska. You had Southern, Grambling, Southeastern, Nichols, UL Lafayette, Mississippi State was out there. Jason Washington from Mississippi State, got to talk to him a little bit. It's just kind of neat to see all those coaches out there jockeying for position. Of course, they can't talk to the players. They can just be on the sideline and standing behind the drills watching. But I think it's very unique that's something we hadn't seen in previous years with coaches out there with camcorders filming themselves, which I've always thought that made sense. And because, Frank Wilson was the only one out there not holding a camcorder. Well, look, they, like Buddy said earlier today, well, they can always watch your film. I agree. but look, Kalaj Cobbins, that's either he's an outside edge rusher, outside linebacker, probably about 6'3", 210, 215 maybe. Well, that's a Matt House guy. So Matt House wants to see him. He wasn't there. Well, it's cool when you can go back with a camcorder and just pull the SD card out, and the rest of the staff can see what each coach saw at their individual stops on the road. And you're not relying on guys like me with, you don't know if I loaded up everything that kid did, or if I'm missing some stuff, or if I took out bad plays and only left it in good. If you're out there with your own camcorder, you can bring in all the good and the stuff with the warts.
Guys, I have 3 questions moving forward with Brian Kelly and his staff. And, of course, we'll go one at a time. JP, 3 Louisiana guys with history, Frank and Joe Sloan and obviously Cortez Hankton. So you've got enough guys that know the lay of the landscape. But, Mike, where do you think the Brian Kelly staff will go? What areas will they go, leaning on the relationships with their staff that's been everywhere? Look, Coach Kane, coming from Oklahoma, is highly touted. Look what Robert Steeples is doing. Yep. So what I'm getting here, Mike, is that instead of a regional area, LSU's going a little bit more national, but still with heavy emphasis in the state. Going to be interesting to see moving forward how good of recruiters this staff is, Mike, especially drawn from some other areas like California, like St. Louis, like the Midwest, like New Jersey and others. Is this a good thing? And JP, I don't think we've really seen this since the days of Nick Saban.
Yeah, I think they have to. Louisiana is absolutely down for the class of 23. 22, as we all know, was great. I think 24 looks very, very good. It could be great. But this year's class, there's a lot of holes as far as, Coach Kane, we're the defensive lineman. He's got to go out of state. Brad Davis, he doesn't have what he had last year with Will Campbell and Emory Jones and Bordelon and Fitzgerald West. He's got to go out of state and to get a full handful of offensive linemen. So they do have to rely on each other and their familiarity with their previous stops, relationships with high school coaches in other states in order to fill those positions of need because Louisiana doesn't have them. We can talk about the quarterback situation in Louisiana. Eli Holstein on campus last weekend, Arch Manning, of course. But Dante Moore in Detroit. Well, whose relationship was that to get that rolling in? Because I think that's the guy you're focusing in on if you're LSU for this year. Depending on and look, even defensive back. You got three commitments for DBs, 2 safeties and a corner. They're all out of state. Well, and they say, okay, well, what in-state kids are they going to be looking at? Well, I think that's another position in the state of Louisiana that's down for this year. Yeah. You got Jordan Matthew, Rashawn Matthews' son at Woodlawn. Is there a possibility there? They have not re-offered him. Curly Reed blew out his knee at Lake Charles Prep. He had an offer from the previous LSU staff. You're not hearing much on him right now. I think everybody's taking a wait and see on him. So, where are the corners and safeties in Louisiana? So, I think a lot of people saying, oh, well, they're getting kind of upset about maybe the Louisiana focus. I think it's because Louisiana, it isn't often you have a year like you have this year in the state, but it exists.
The second,
and then you got the outliers like Tackett Curtis at Manny. Is he? A lot of people looking at him, maybe leading Ohio State and Wisconsin. Well, maybe that's because he maybe is more of a Big Ten type of linebacker. Jay Nosberry, is he going to do like his brother and go out of state? So that's your linebacker position. Those two guys right there. So I think by necessity they have to go out of state.
The second big question, JP, what mistakes did you make in NIL? And secondly, is LSU in big boy territory with the Georgias and the A&Ms and the Alabamas and now the USCs and the Miamis? Mike, we know, and this is something that these kids have waited a long time for, but you got to pay to play in the recruiting game. We see what these kids are leaving in transfer portals. Caleb Williams getting $2 million to play at USC his final year.
Yeah, worth it.
Do you think LSU is going to be with the big boys? And how much is NIL going to determine whether or not you get a kid? Is this going to get more pay for play, or is this thing going to get to have a little more common sense in year 2 of NIL?
I think as soon as you think you got a handle on it, you're going to see something crazy. You're just never going to know how from one individual kid to the next. I keep saying it, but it's up to a businessman. It's up to a guy who, sees a quarterback and he's following recruiting and he desperately wants them at the school that he's a fan of, and he's ready to unload some cash and do something crazy, and he upends 2 or 3 years of recruiting by one lucrative car dealer in whatever state and town. You just and there's nothing at the NCAA that can do about it.
You know me, I love me some Will Campbell.
Yep.
And him and his mama ought to be doing a Campbell soup commercial, Mike.
No doubt.
I keep saying that.
Yep.
Obviously, JP, you've got a kid who's going to get bigger and stronger, and if he ascends to being one of the top players in the state, he will get guys coming in to the school and coming into your house. What do you see about future high school recruiting? And secondly, JP, is it a good thing that the LHSAA has now allowed these high school kids in Louisiana to make some money on NIL?
To answer your original question, Bud, man, they will learn from mistakes they made last year, but there's going to be years of mistakes that still get made, and they're going to have to keep on kind of trying to refine this whole process because nobody's going to put a cure-all on it right to start. I mean, we don't even know where it's going yet. I mean, there's still going to be a bunch of business that trying to, jump on the bandwagon and support their school or their players, but to me, I always thought that college football players, at least in my lifetime, you call them student athletes, but these guys are leaving 2-3 years in. They're not going back for their degrees. Now, recently, that trend has kind of started to turn back around where guys are going back to school to finish their degrees. But, I mean, if that's going to be their job, if they're going to have their main focus be on football and not on school, then, yeah, I think they should get a little something for it, especially with the games like NCAA football and, even though their names aren't on the back of their jerseys, you're still selling that player's jersey. It was just a big scam for a long time where they were trying to, keep all the money instead of sharing it with some of the players. But is it a good thing that the LHSAA now allow kids to get money? I don't know if I'm going that far. High school kids, even more immature than college kids. I would not trust my own son with the credit card for more than a couple hours. It's just, kids 16, 17, 18 years old, they're still on their parents' insurance. Let them be a kid for a little while longer.
Man, what are you talking about? They're on their parents' insurance to 27 now.
Right. I mean, that's a great point.
But my question, Mike, is this. Can LSU compete in NIL with the big boys?
What is the market for a high school NIL deal?
Exactly.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just, and look, the tight end is the one that irritated me more than anybody. Brian Kelly had done a dance video with him, and what did he get, Mike? How many hits?
Millions.
I don't know. Millions.
Yeah, 3.6
6 million or whatever it was. And then they let the kid sign an NIL deal to go to Alabama for a paltry amount. And, oh, by the way, his teammate, we hadn't talked about Derek Williams and also the safety Jackson that's in two in-state safeties. LSU making any move there, or where you stand with those two DBs?
Colin Jackson and Zachary?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one where I'm like, man, it sure has been quiet lately. Is that a wait and see to see what he does at camp?
Mike, I want you to give me a grade on Coach Matt McMahon. He's filling out his roster. What do you think he's done so far recruiting? You think he's done a good job?
It's crazy. What did we say last week? You're wondering how many years they're going to be at the bottom of the SEC, and all of a sudden you get it together. Then you get Miller, and you're like, man, this team might finish securely right in the middle of the SEC. And now, with the 7-foot center, Baby Shaq, you're like, if this team gels and they've got good leadership and they avoid injuries and you don't have a bunch of me kids, can a whole new roster come together and play like a team and be well coached?
Yep.
I mean, is there a chance where it just all comes together as a team? The way it's come together is a recruiting class, to where all of a sudden this team could actually finish in the upper third of the SEC.
It's crazy to think, JP and Mike, that Scott Woodward hired Kim Mulkey, of course, and then Jay Johnson, and then Brian Kelly, and now Matt McMahon, and they all have done fantastic jobs in rebuilding their rosters. But for a guy that had no scholarship players, 6-7 weeks ago, and now has filled out his 13-man roster, I think he has been a miracle worker. He's an X's and O's coach, and you know what he's really good at? Developing guards. Ja Morant is going to be helping LSU recruit. And, oh, by the way, he tweeted out when the big kid, the OVC Player of the Year, KJ Williams, decided to come from Murray State to LSU. So I think that that hire with Matt McMahon has been even quicker. Oh, by the way, Mike, I hadn't asked you this. JP, does the NCAA come up and slap something on LSU, or do you think they might get out of here with just a slap on the wrist, or is that going to be a minimum of 1 year postseason ban, Mike? What you hearing in baskets?
Well, they better hurry up because you can't extend whatever your verdict is once the season started.
Yeah.
Does this one particular year team get off scot-free, and whatever the penalties are applies to the second year of McMahon?
Yeah.
Because I thought we weren't going to hear anything till possibly November. And then there's an appeals process.
Well, I'll just say this. Considering the cloud that's hanging over their head, Matt McMahon has, I think, exceeded everybody's expectations.
And I'm looking forward to the press conferences because according to his Twitter handle, he's a funny guy. He's got a good sense of humor. I'm looking forward to it.
But you hate to tell the fans, wait till next year.
I think you just need to, if you get to the point where, imagine they were like, we want to know what it's going to be as soon as we can know it. And you know what? If it's in line with what you probably thought you were going to get, don't fight it. Just go ahead and accept it and work with it and move forward.
Totally.
The sooner they know and can get over this, the more that the years of the McMahon era can be scot-free. They just need to know what the verdict is, bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mike, getting a little on time. Tell me about TigerBait.com.
That's it. Go to TigerBait.com, subscribe. We want to have you as a premium subscriber. Choose the annual package. You're basically getting 3 months free versus going monthly. And tune into our YouTube channel, LSU Tigers on TigerBait. Buddy Songy and I do shows weekly, and we have a lot of fun usually on Wednesday night, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.
I twisted an ankle on the way over here, man. I'm going to have JP fill in for me tonight.
Yeah, all right.
All right, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you, brother.
Okay, man. All right, bye.
And you guys are so good-looking and flat-bellied and all. You could do a show with Score one night. You might do that. Of course, I don't know if the wife would like that, you being home a little bit later. But, look, folks, it's interesting. I was trying to fiddle in there. You hate to tell the fans wait till next year, but seriously speaking, Kim Mulkey, check, appreciably better next year.
No doubt.
Check. Matt McMahon, check.
Definitely.
Jay Johnson, going to have a #1 recruiting class. If he can just keep the pros from rating, going to be appreciably better.
Yep.
And, of course, we see what Brian Kelly is doing. It is a rebuild, not a reload. But if the Tiger fan base can have some patience, I'm hoping that this next couple of years are going to be a little bit better than what we've had to deal with since the pandemic.
Pelicans got the #8 pick in the draft lottery from the Los Angeles Lakers. You pumped up by next year, bud? Man, you on board with the Pels?
I am impressed with Willie Green did in year one.
Agreed.
I'm not crazy about giving Zion all that money. I want to see him work for it, not just get it given to him.
Appreciate you tuning in to Tigers Roar. That'll do it for the Budman, Buddy Songy, and Jonathan Poche. I want to thank everybody in the truck. Katie and Alan did a great job, along with our floor director, Marty. Doing a great job for us, as always. Don't forget, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. A great keep of everything we do at the Pelican. And until next time, we'll see you later, Baton Rouge. You didn't even joke.